Welcome back to episode 2 of 2 in the Queue. I'm here with my opponent slash co-host, Jeff. Well, I mean, if we're queued for the same game,
right?
we'd be on a team.
We could be on a team, or we could just not play till the finals.
We're just against all of these guys?
Yeah, all of them.
Okay, I like that plan better, actually. So, we've got quite a few spoilers for Fate Reforged. I don't know about you, but this week felt a little rushed with spoilers. They usually have more time and...
It did. It felt... Well, they were shut down for, the Christmas break, and there's only 2 weeks of spoilers this time.
We did get Ugin over Christmas break,
We did.
Yeah.
But, it seems like they kind of just, dropped everything on us and was like, here's a bunch of cool stuff, go talk about it. But it doesn't seem like they left very much for this week coming up.
Right, there's, 2 Mythics and...
2 Dragons.
And 2 Dragons left.
And I think 1 clan leader left?
I think that's right, yeah. Okay. Well, we're here to talk some spoilers, obviously. And we did just some quick hits. We each picked 3 cards from Fate Reforged. So, Jeff, why don't you start us off with your first card?
So I want to start off talking about Ugin, the Spirit Dragon, since
obviously.
We've been talking about him for a while.
Yep.
We predicted a bunch of things. He's not 5 colors like I had hoped.
Nope.
But he does cost 8 colorless.
He is colorless, yeah.
So it's 1 more than Karn.
Yep.
Still very castable in the format.
In multiple formats.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm very disappointed in his plus ability.
Okay.
I understand why it's Ghostfire, but it's also still kind of disappointing that it's Ghostfire.
You predicted Ghostfire.
I did, because it's the most predictable one.
Right.
I can predict one and still hope it's not that one.
Okay, so are you worried that it's underpowered? Do you not like it just because it's not that original? What don't you like about it?
It's original because the original Ghostfire was alluding to Ugin.
Right.
And Ghostfire is what unlocked the Hedrons.
I think it's a cool reference. Yeah. I do wish it was 4.
But I understand why it's a perfect fit, but at the same time it kind of feels like a lazy fit.
Okay. I'm guessing that when they made Ugin a Planeswalker, they were like, okay, we have to stick Ghostfire in this in some way.
Right.
So.
I like his minus.
Yeah, his minus is sweet.
All his dust meets Pernicious Steed.
Yeah, he comes in with 7 loyalty, so he can get rid of pretty much anything.
Yeah, he can pretty much wipe the board except for...
What doesn't wipe? He wipes out a casting cost, right?
Right.
So he's like a Ratchet Bomb.
Yeah, so if you leave him around, you could, -6, remove all colored permanents 6 or less.
I mean, I'm excited to, bring him into play, and then it's like, oh, your Siege Rhino and your Wingmate rocks. GTFO, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I really, really like his ultimate, how he mirrors Bolas. Mm-hmm. So Bolas was your opponent, loses 7 life, sack 7 permanents, discard 7 cards.
Yep, that's true. I didn't think about that until just now.
So this one, you get to gain 7 life. Mm-hmm. You draw 7 cards. Instead of sacking 7 permanents, you get to put however many permanents you want into play. So he 1-ups Bolas.
He does. I don't know. It feels a lot like Karn's ultimate, where if you're doing it, you probably won the game anyway.
Yeah, but it's one of those games where it's just you're already way ahead, so why not just play with your food?
I suppose. That is very dragon-like. Yeah. Very, that's fair. The first card that I want to talk about is way less splashy. It's Palace Siege. It's a whole cycle of these enchantments where you choose either cons or dragons. But I want to talk about the black one in particular because I think it's probably the most constructed playable of them. Both the modes are good if you're behind and if you're ahead, which are decent in cards. So the dragons mode... Helixes for 2 damage, do 2 damage to a player, you gain 2 life. And the cons mode lets you return a creature every upkeep. So if you're behind, but you're not going to die next turn, there's a chance where you can recur a blocker every turn. Or if you choose the Dragons one, then you can gain life and play other things out is the idea.
Right.
And if you're ahead, both of the things are just going to keep your board developing or inevitability. So I like the Palace Siege the best. The others, they're all good. I just don't know how much they're going to seek play.
Yeah, they all need a little bit of building around. I think the black one already fits into multiple decks, the green-black Reanimator deck.
Yep.
Would automatically just play 1 or 2 of the black ones.
Or just the black aggro decks.
Yeah.
It can be your top end at 5 mana.
Right.
Yeah. All right, what's your next card?
My next card is Silumgar, the Drifting Death.
Okay.
I'm not sure which way to pronounce it.
The new clan leader.
No, the new dragon.
Oh, he's the black blue dragon.
One.
Yeah, okay.
The one that's referenced in the flavor text of Dig Through Time.
Right, okay.
He's a 3/7 for 6, which isn't very big.
It's not. It's like the Phoenix, the god, right?
Right. But he blocks everything.
Yes.
He And he has flying because he's a dragon.
Right.
But the most important part is he has hexproof.
Yes. Okay.
So he's giant
That's pretty
blocker
good.
with hexproof. When he attacks, all opposing creatures get -1/-1, so you get the make giant effect every time you attack,
Which is pretty good.
which is pretty good. Really good control finisher.
Mm-hmm.
The important part is that he's a dragon and he has hexproof, so when you Crux of Fate name non-dragon, there's still no way for your opponent to get rid of him.
Right. And did you notice how big his fangs were, being the Sultai dragon?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Which is pretty cool flavor. And then his, you mentioned that his little symbol on his card is actually a little bit different than the Sultai symbol. It's like a more fleshed out fang, basically, which is pretty sweet. They all have that so far, so it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, I like that, how it's like showing how the symbols evolved over time.
Yeah, exactly. Although it looks like the symbols all kind of got less over time, which like maybe they get more streamlined.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. My next card is Soul Flare. It's the black 4/4 for 6 mana, and you can delve him, but when you delve creatures away, he gains their static abilities. So he gains Intimidate, he gains Flying, he gains Double Strike, he gains whatever you've delved away. He gains that ability. Reminds me of a card from the Lorwyn block, which I can't remember the name of. There was a changeling that did that.
Yeah, it was the ET looking changeling.
Yes, exactly. Which was fun to play with. I played with it a couple times in Cube, and it was fun. So I'm excited for Soul Flare. It's got like a Necrotic Ooze attached to that changeling kind of feel about it.
The changeling wasn't as exciting. It was like a 3/3 for 5.
Yeah, yeah.
And this one's like a 4/4
Yeah.
for
I think it's 6.
black, and 4.
Yeah, but you can delve it, so potentially 2,
Right.
which is sweet. I don't know. I'm just excited to build around that guy. What's your third card?
My third card is the Flamewake Phoenix.
Yep. Okay.
So 2/2 flying haste for 1 red. Very similar to Chandra's Phoenix.
Very similar to Chandra's Phoenix.
This one has a ferocious ability where at the beginning of combat, if it's in your graveyard, you control a creature power 4 or greater. For 1 red, you get to put it back into play.
Into play, which is awesome.
Right.
Chandra's Phoenix went back to your hand.
And it's beginning of combat, so you can still attack with it when you bring it back into play.
Oh, sweet. I didn't even think about that. It's a little different than Chandra's Phoenix, but it's a necessary. You need that like 3 mana something that can hit people really hard to keep the format honest. So how do you anticipate this being a little different than Chandra's Phoenix? Chandra's Phoenix needed spells, obviously.
Right, so Chandra's Phoenix was the creature you play in like the all spells deck.
Right.
This one you want to play in basically the Teamer Monsters deck. So for friends it gets Knuckleblade, it gets Stormbreath Dragon. It also gets Ashclad Phoenix.
Right, the old Phoenix that was sort of bordering unplayable. Now it's got a Phoenix Friend.
Phoenix Foundation.
Phoenix Foundation.
To build upon.
To build upon. I mean, there's nowhere to go. It's sort of like the Phoenix capstone.
Yeah, you just go through the opponent.
Right. My last card is the Mardu Shadow Spear. I played a lot of games with Pulse Tracker, which was a vampire that did something similar. But this guy's a warrior, and whenever he attacks, they lose a life, which is pretty sweet. He's got a second ability too, because you can give him haste if you want to.
Right.
But he bounces back to your hand at the end of the turn. With, what is the name of that ability?
Dash.
Dash, that's right. It's a pretty cool ability. I think it's pretty well balanced for all the cards it's on so far.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. So that's it for spoilers. We've got, like we said, 2 more mythics, a couple more dragons, and then they have to flesh out all the commons and uncommons too for the pre-release events that are happening. So let's talk about some of the tournaments that happened and are happening soon. So the PPTQs are kind of foremost in my mind of tournaments. We just had one this last weekend in Phoenix, Mesa Comics. Do you know how big it was this time?
I think it was around 60 players.
60 players.
Which seems to be getting right around where the average is going to be for
That's
tournaments around here.
what we expected, yeah, absolutely, for our player base. And then, who won, do you know?
I believe it was Thomas Kaufman.
Kaufman, yep. Cool, so congratulations to him.
Yep.
If you're still hunting for that PTQ invite, we've got 3 more this next weekend.
Yep.
On Saturday, we have one in Manaworks, which is in Glendale, in Phoenix, and then 2 on Sunday.
2 on Sunday.
Yeah.
One in Prescott at Game On.
Game On, yep.
And then one here in Tucson.
First Tucson PPTQ.
First Tucson.
Yeah.
At Heroes and Villains.
Heroes and Villains, they're on Broadway, and I think their tournament starts at noon, but you'll want to check all their websites just to make sure. Yeah, cool. Another cool tournament that happened this last Friday was the first free-for-all F&M.
Yep.
Yeah, alternate formats. You played in the standard one, right?
I did.
But there was some success from other stores around town that had some alternate formats. Commander, right?
Yep. Commander.
Yeah. Anything else you used?
Cube.
Cube draft. That's
Yep.
right. So, hopefully, people will experiment a little bit more. What are you hoping to see?
I would really like dual commander to become more of a format.
That's the format, the French format, right? Where they
Right.
banned some of the more powerful multiplayer.
Yeah,
cards
so
and-
it's
yeah.
1v1, similar ban list, like no fast artifact mana,
Mm-hmm.
no soul ring, no mana crypt, no mana vault. And they still have the separate banned as commander, banned in commander rule.
Oh, okay, great.
So like Raphaelis is banned as a commander, but he can be in your deck.
in your deck.
Yeah.
Cool. When you told me about that format and I looked it up, I was like, ooh, that format is really sweet.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to see is the Tiny Commander, which Star City Games wrote an article about this last week or maybe the week before. It's just a commander format where all the cards have to have converted mana cost 3 or less.
That's kind of cool.
I just really like alternate formats where you have to think about building,
Yeah, like
deck building.
anything that breeds deck building creativity, I like. Rather than just go and be like, here's a website, here's deck list, I like this one, print it out, build it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, hopefully the Tucson stores expand their F&Ms a little bit. Like, Commander was a great success from what we've heard.
Yep.
Yeah, and Cube Draft was at least fired, so that's cool.
I mean, all the commander players just love to play commander, and if you're going to give them an opportunity to play and have a chance to win promos that
Right.
could then go in their commander deck,
Seems
you're just going
decent.
to make them happier.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone who played F&M this last month got one of the new F&M promos, the Friends and Goblins, which that's the end of the M15 promos. We've got 2 more coming up for February and March. Why don't you give us those?
Yeah, so for February we have Disdainful Stroke,
Mm-hmm.
which is a sort of constructed, mostly sideboard all-star right now in Standard.
I mean, and it's also a cons card,
Yeah.
6 months after cons comes out, which is awesome.
Right.
Like, I remember when Bloodbraid Elf came out a year and a half after that
Yeah,
set
or
came
like-
out.
Or like, Alara blocks rotated in a month, here's Savage Lands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, sweet.
Yeah. And then March we're getting Hordling Outburst,
Mm-hmm.
which is really exciting.
It is, so it's started to see constructed play, and it's also got sweet art on it.
It does have really sweet art.
So it's the same art as Hordling Outburst, except instead of the goblins charging at you, like with their weapons and they're going to eat you, they're just running from a dragon with its open mouth behind them. So they've sort of started shifting the cards away from the cons art into the Fate Reforged, and then the dragons are eating everyone art.
Starting to feel like the cons block is the fixed time spiral block, where they give you like cards from the past, they give you what could have been an alternate present and in the future.
It's more cohesive though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like more, like it's done a little bit better, more
Yeah.
cohesively, because you're getting, here's how the world looks, here's the past, and then we're seeing the present change
As we play it, which
because
is
like the
awesome.
promos, like the Ugin's Fate booster from the pre-release, and then these F&M promos are showing the transition of the present.
Right, even so, same cards, just like different art
Right.
moving into the dragons are back, which is pretty cool. I think that's pretty neat because they use the time spiral block basically to kill off the old planeswalkers, right?
Yeah. That was like the whole thing was like tie up loose ends, change the way old walkers work
To move into
so they could,
Lorwyn.
yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for joining me for the first spoiler cast. And I hope you guys have all the fun at the PPTQs and your F&Ms.
Yep.
Well, thanks for joining me, Jeff.
Thank you.